When we speak of civil liberties and civil rights, people are beginning to understand that the most fundamental of these is the right to work in our society. And what is occurring in Guyana is that the government is making political capital out of the indefensible position of one who is either unemployed or is very close to the line of being unemployed.
I want to say to you all, in no uncertain terms, that this government is disrespectful to black people. And if people disrespect you, you have a right to disrespect them.
I am saying now that we have started, now that we have come together, do not sleep. Don't let us go back quietly into the night. Protest must be the order of the day.
And very good evening to you, and welcome to today's edition of Politics 101. It's WPA Groundings tonight. WPA Groundings tonight. Welcome to all of you. Those of you who are joining us from Guyana, you're joining us from the wider Caribbean, North America, wherever you're joining us from, Europe, Africa. Welcome to this evening's edition of Politics 101 WPA Groundings. We're going to have the folks from the WPA, Brother Kidackie and Brother Tacuma Ogunseye. They're going to be here and telling us about the WPA's views on some of the issues of the day. As those of you who've been following the news, you would know that Sister Rhonda Lane made some comments at the Coffee 250 conference about our observations of what goes on at Muslim ceremonies, wedding ceremonies, and so forth. And the Guyana Chronicle carried a story placing Sister Rhonda as an executive member of the WPA and saying that she was engaged in race hate because she said that Muslims do not treat their women correctly. And they linked her, said she was an executive member of the WPA, and that she was engaged in hate speech. WPA, the two Muslim organizations then issued a joint statement condemning the WPA and the APNU. And the WPA has responded as a political party. We don't get into religious business, but of course we respect the right of citizens to make their observations about religion and religious institutions. Anyhow, that's one of the issues that we're going to be dealing with tonight. As you know, the Gladstones, a prominent family in England, they own slaves in Guyana, and they also were involved in the first shipment of Indian Guyanese indentured immigrants to Guyana, and they are coming to Guyana. They might be there already to Guyana to issue an apology. University of Guyana is going to have a ceremony tomorrow in which the apology is going to be made. We also have former Prime Minister of England, Tony Blair. His wife is visiting, and she's involved in an organization that is promoting business among women. She is in Guyana and so forth. So we're going to talk about that apology for slavery. Is it enough? What signals are being sent? The British government is yet to issue an apology to slavery, but it's heating up. So we're going to get the WPA's view on that. Nigel Hughes, as you know, called for a supermajority in Parliament in order to make decisions, in effect, raising the question of power sharing, and swift rejection from Nandalal, and then Mr. Jack Dio weighed in on it, basically shutting the door on power sharing. We're going to find out the WPA's view on that, because the WPA has been one of the parties that has always been calling for power sharing as part of the solution. We're going to get their response to that. And the party is preparing for the next year or two, trying to get itself together. We're going to have them talk about that, and they're going to launch the campaign fund tonight. Launch the campaign fund as they prepare for election. We're going to talk to them a little bit about that. They're planning a members meeting, which is the equivalent to the Congress of the other parties. The WPA is planning a members meeting. They're going to update us on where they are in terms of those plans. So we're expecting them here in a short while tonight. So welcome to Politics 101. You know, we've got to keep on keeping on. Sometimes we lose hope, but we always have to bounce back. And we have to keep this struggle going, because, you know, it's not a one-day struggle. It's not a two-day struggle. Even when you win small victories, we have to continue pressing on. And we have to constantly believe that we can remove this regime from power. It's dangerous. The PPP is really out of control. We're going to ask the WPA people to also talk about Mr. Jack Dio's almost confession that some dangerous things took place between 2002 2006. He was speaking at Lunchen's funeral, and he said there are things that Lunchen has gone to his grave with, and there are things he will go to his grave with about what happened during that period. He said that the army and the police gave them wrong intelligence and insinuated that they had to take their own action. That was around the Roger Khan time and all of that kind of stuff. So Jack Dio, as usual, you know, he doesn't have too much of political tact. And what he in effect has really said is that the government may have broken the law. Remember, we talk about, you know, 400 people, 400 African young men and so on were killed during that period. We saw Saturday saw family writing a letter into these papers and saying they are still to know about the murder of Sassou and his family. The PPP hasn't told them anything. It was a PPP minister. And there is Jack Dio saying their secrets Luncheon has gone with his grave. There are secrets he has that he will go to his grave. What are those secrets? Mouth open story jump out. So welcome to Politics 101, WPA Groundings tonight. We got to keep up this struggle. We have to keep this struggle up. We got to keep looking on the brighter side. Let's listen to some wisdom from the Shantwell. From the Shantwell.
This one for you. This one for you. Life may be rough. I tell you, times may be tough, but we must keep going. I feel any pain. Yes, we keep holding strain, but we must keep fighting. Regardless of how we come, we just can't surrender. We gotta keep working towards a better future. I say your struggle may always done. You gotta get up to having fun. As you see, time goes around. Why? While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hurt, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind the gray cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where. With a heavy load, look how we going down the road, but we must keep going. As though we commit a crime, and we keep serving time, but we must keep fighting. Remember they say that nothing lasts forever. One day is for the slave, one day for the master. So always keep your courage up. Don't allow confidence to drop. One day we'll be right there on top. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hurt, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this great cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where. The journey may be long, and you keep falling down. Keep standing. It keep getting hot, like the pressure won't stop, but we must keep going. Everybody in life does have their little setback, but we just can't say that's that. Sit down and relax. Don't care what you go through today. Surrender, we must never say, where there's a will, there is. While we appreciate the little life got to give, regardless what's the hurt, we must think positive. Look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. Because I see a silver lining behind this gray cloud we're passing. Look on the bright side. Look on the bright side. For the bright side is where. Love you. Love you. Judgment morning. We by the gate and we waiting. Fire coming. Fire. Fire here. Fire burning. Fire coming. Fire burning. Fire blazing. Fire burning. Take it out. Simple. Fire burning. Fire burning. Fire coming. Fire burning. Fire burning, fire burning. Come, 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 Baba. judgment morning. I'm at the gate and I'm waiting. Caught a begging the master. Give me a walk with Peter. They got some sinners coming. With them I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I want to fix them personally. Peter looks as he rolls by the gate. Bunny. Peter look the Englishman. We sent as the road to Africa land. Bunny. Peter take Drake. Take Raleigh, but leave Victoria for me. Punchy. Peter can just look at what you say, but Mussolini. Why? This is my time for money. Peter, keep the fire blazing. This is my time for money. Keep the fire blazing. Peter, you don't know the pressure that I undergo from this madman and woman. I feel it full weight on their hand. They made their own press law. They never care about the poor. Peter gives me block of the day. Well, now it's time for Stalin to play. Peter, lucky on Smith by the gate. Bunny. Peter, I don't want you to make fuss. Remember, I want Christopher. Bunny. I say, Peter, look the woman. South Africa refused to put sanctions. Bunny. Peter, I just look at what you do like Reagan going in it. Why? This is my time for Bunny. Peter, keep the fire blazing. This is my time for Bunny. Peter, don't grudge me. Your hand done full already. You don't deal with the Führer. But go ahead and take Foster. That woman Mary, remember that's my baby. So man back a doll that she make. You gotta give the black man a break. Peter, look both her rich by the gate. Bunny. Peter, I don't want you to waste time. Remember, we still have Morgan. Bunny. I say, Peter, look the woman who sent for a troop in Africa land. Bunny. Peter, I just don't care what you do, but the Ku Klux Klan. Why? This is my time for the day. I What? Peter, keep the fire blazing. What you say? This is my time for the day. Peter, keep the fire blazing. Peter, stop pushing. It has so much more coming. Take all them from overseas, but leave my Loki. During my lifetime, told me there was no time. So much back and all that they make. You gotta give the black man a break. Peter, wait. Peter, look, Big Mac reach by the gate. Bunny. Peter, look at that big belly fella. We carry me money down Panama. Bunny. I say, Peter, look the woman who bring foreign troops in the Caribbean. Bunny. Peter, I just don't care what you do, but ball head going in the... Sing it, why? This is my time for Bunny. What? Peter, keep the fire blazing.
Hi, I'm Lady Gypsy, known in the...
Oh, yes. You know, I love being West Indian. That's the best music in the world. That man went through black history from the pirates, come right through to all those who oppress black people. Black Stallion, Dr. Leroy Khalise, one of the greatest. And you know why I love being West Indian? We're the only people who party to politics, you know. We dance up to political messages. A lot of people can't take that, you know. Rex Rutherford used to say chaos in order and order in chaos. Good night, good evening, welcome to Politics 101. Leroy Khalise telling us, look on the brighter side. Look on the brighter side. But at the same time, bond them. Bond them. Bond them. Bond them. Peter Waite. Give me the woman who bring foreign troops in the Caribbean. He talking about Eugenia Charles. Bonded. Welcome to Politics 101, WPA Groundings tonight. Our brothers, Kidackie, Amsterdam, and Tacuma, Ogunseye, no stranger to you. They are here, and we're going to be talking politics tonight. So let me bring them in, and let's get the conversation started. Brother Tacuma Ogunseye, Brother Kidackie. Good evening, brothers.
Good evening, Dr. Hines.
Good evening, Dr. Hines and viewers.
Thank you. And we are going to get the WPA's perspective on a few of the news items. Yes, Black Stallion was a genius at his craft. Yes, Desiree, I agree with you. We know that they say Sparrow is the greatest of them all. And, I think his job does say that when God was giving out gifts to Calypsonians, he gave the most gifts to Sparrow. But I think if he gives Sparrow 20 gifts, he gave Black Stallion 19 and a half. Certainly a genius, Dr. Leroy Khalise. Brothers, welcome to WPA Groundings. Let's go right ahead into the conversation. Sister Rhonda Lane made some observations at the recent Coffee 250 conference, and she made some observations about the way one of our religions treat women, or put another way, the place of women in the performative acts of religion. And the Chronicle ran a story accusing her of race hate. And miraculously naming her as a WPA executive member. And then a couple of days ago, two Muslim organizations issued a joint statement condemning the WPA for engaging in race hate. Let's get the WPA take on that, because WPA did issue a statement, and Demerara Waves took it. But Kidackie, I'm coming to you first, so part up. WPA did issue a statement carried by Demerara Waves, which, among other things, it said that Sister Rhonda is not an executive member of the party. She's not even a member of the party, but she's a strong supporter of the party. Kidackie, what's the WPA's take on that issue? You have to unmute yourself, my brother. You're not the operator today. You're the guest. Keep yourself
very well.
Keep yourself padded.
Yes, as the WPA said in its statement, the utterances of the Chronicle and the Muslim organizations against Rwanda are basically attempts to further create a wedge among the ethnic groups in this country, and in particular to create political mischief between the WPA and the citizenry, especially Guyanese who are of the Muslim faith in this instance. I want to go further to say, listen, these organizations that have come out to criticize Rwanda's observations, or to use Rwanda's observations to criticize the WPA, were there when Dharam Lal was most indecent in the National Assembly against a Muslim sister, and they did not take the opportunity to upbraid him. They did not take the opportunity to address the misbehavior of several ministers of the PPP government, a government that is led by Usman Ali, an assumably devout Muslim himself. Right? And so one has to interpret the statement or the actions of these organizations as nothing other than being political for the current administration.
Being political for the current administration. But Ogunseye, let's come to you. Why we live in a small society, and clearly the Guyana Chronicle, if they thought Rhonda Lane was an executive member and they weren't sure, they could have called you, they could have called me, called Kidackie, called WPA, and asked. A good journalist would do that, would call, is Rhonda Lane a WPA member? Is she a WPA executive member? And get this story right. But they didn't do that. Why have they tagged Rhonda to the WPA?
Okay, I think they do it very deliberately and very consciously, because they are on a well worked out campaign to try to discredit the WPA as much as they could. And it is all about the kind of pressures that they're feeling as a result of the WPA activities, both on the ground and more particularly on your show, Politics 101, Kidakkie's show. And I think that they're responding to their sense of a rebirth of the WPA, and they have decided that they have to fight the WPA with all the arsenal that they have. And I think that they decide to target Sister Wanda very deliberately and crudely. I have no doubt that they knew very well that Sister Wanda is not a WPA member, more so an executive member. And as you correctly said, if this thing was about journalism and trying to be objective, they would have contacted the party for a comment. So I don't think it is so much about Wanda. She is just being opportunistically being used, to get to the WPA. So this thing is really about the WPA. And I think, as I said, I think they're beginning to feel very uncomfortable as a result of the WPA's, they have been saying that we're dead. And all of a sudden, the dead has arisen from the grave and seems to be driving a whole lot of fear into the leadership of the PPP and those who supported them. So this is about WPA. I want to tell the country that our statement was very deliberate, and we discussed the matter at last executive of the party when we saw the article in the Guyana Chronicle, and it was our unanimous conviction that this whole episode was political, not simply going after the WPA as WPA, but it was designed to get the Islamic community to be hostile to the party. And that is the major reason of this particular intervention. They have been attacking us on all fronts, but this attack is deliberately designed to catch the attention of the Islamic community and to paint the WP as being anti-Islam. So this is the desperation of the PPP's leadership. And those two organizations, every Guyanese know, they are affiliates to the PPP. So by extension, whatever they put out in their statement will mirror exactly what the PPP wrote and give them to put out. So it is just pure propaganda. The WPA history is very clear on religious matters. We have no history of attacking any religion or engaging in any significant commentary on religion. We allow our members the right, if they so feel like, to engage these matters, But one can't find in the annals of WPA's history any evidence of WPA interfering into the religious faiths of the country. So this is a red herring which wouldn't work. But we want the nation to understand that this is part of the desperation that the PPP is feeling as a result of WPA activism. And it's going to get worse, because as the WPA become more active and more visible and begin to impact the politics of the country, the desperation will get greater, and you could expect anything in the line of propaganda will come from the PPP as an attack on the party.
As an attack on the party. And Sister Rhonda herself on a program 2 mornings ago very interestingly said she is PNC and WPA. And I was making a comment on the same program. There is a new type of activist that has emerged in the last 3 years that straddles party, and the parties don't know what to do with such an activist. Clearly, she's confusing the PPP and perhaps confusing even the opposition. Any comment on that thing about being PNC and WPA?
Well, it's the first time I'm hearing it, and I welcome the sister to the party. If she's comfortable without being a party member to publicly identify herself with the party and its activism, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm making the point about the activists out there who's not confined by any single party in the opposition, but see themselves as opposition supporters who support more than one party.
They support both the WPA and the PNC.
Yes, it's a new phenomenon.
It's a new phenomenon
that we as political parties have to grapple with.
Yeah.
As you said, they said that the WPA is a 5-man party. They're recruiting people for us. Brother Ogunseye, when you were last there, and I see Brother Kidackie's back, you all said that the party was engaging in robust discussion about the current politics the role of the WPA in the current politics. You did take to the streets early in the year, created quite a stir to the point where the government felt that it had to arrest you on a bogus charge that apparently the court is not paying any attention to the moment, and so forth. You talked just now about the rebirth of the WPA. Put that in context for us. What you mean by the rebirth of the party?
Okay, like any serious organization, the WPA is not a new organization. I think we were on the scene at least about 40 years, if my memory holds.
We're next year is going to be 50 years.
Oh, okay. Almost 50 years. And an organization with that kind of history has to frequently and continuously evaluating, its role in the society, what is happening in the organization itself, what is happening in the country, and what is happening in the world, and to try to position or reposition itself in order to be effective. And we have been, in the last 2 years, we have been taking the opportunity to do just that. And we have been lucky in the context of oil to be guided by one of Guyana's and the Caribbean and toward the world most outstanding economists and an expert in oil. And I think it is true to say that our deliberations and assessment of the country and the party and the future in a big way have been influenced and guided by the knowledge of Dr. Clive Thomas. And I think it is true to say, without beating our drums too heavy, that I think for all the parties in the country, as it relates to oil and the implications of oil, I think the WPA was in front and remain in front in our thinking. Of course, we don't share all our deep insight on these matters with the public because for obvious reasons and for effect, you have to do things very consciously and stage it. But I think that we have benefited from Clive's deep insight and understanding, of the transformative effect that oil would have had and is having on the politics of the country and the entire society. And it is in this context that we commence our discussion on reorganizing the party and repositioning the party, for a more effective intervention in the political life of the country. And our discussions have been well advanced. Even among our own members, people felt we were taking too long, But these are serious matters, and these are matters that will have transformative effect on the country one way or the other. And we have been patient with ourselves and trying to make sure that we read the society correctly, we read the region and the world correctly, and we make an impassionate and objective assessment of the organization as it stands at this moment and what is necessary to renovate it and strengthen it for it to be more effective in the immediate political challenges and the challenges going forward. So I will say that when we reveal some of those decisions, the context will become much clearer. I will want to say...
Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were finished.
I will want to say that the WPA has had a history in this country of when we make major intervention, it matters. And I want to say in the next period, the upcoming intervention will be extremely significant and transformative for the country as well as the party.
for the country as well as the party. Kidackie Amsterdam, you have been one of the public faces of the party as it seek to seek a rebirth for itself over the last 2 or 3 years. Of course, you are younger than Brother Ogunseye and myself. And as one of the faces of the party in the last 3 years, what are some of the lessons from a WPA standpoint? What are some of the lessons the party has learned from listening to people over the last 3 years? Every morning, 5 days per week, you're out there intervening, conversing, and listening to people because you have a call-in segment every morning. What are a few of the lessons the WPA has learned from listening to the people?
Well, first and foremost, the people have certainly indicated that the WPA remains relevant in this era. While many have tried to pronounce the death of the WPA, ever so often you hear the WPA is dead and it's 3-man and it's 5-man and they can't decide is how many, including the spirits and so on. The citizenry has certainly indicated, has certainly shown, has certainly, I want to say, awaken or reawaken the WPA to the fact that its leadership is relevant in this time and is necessary and is much sought after.
Let me pin you down on that, Kidackie. You talk about leadership. What is it about a particular kind of leadership that the WPA brings? What are you hearing from people as they look to the leadership of the WPA? What are they seeing in us that is unique that we bring to the political mix?
One word: radicalism. The viewers, supporters, citizenry are of the opinion that WPA is radical compared to the other opposition parties, and it has the right approach to the PPP government at this time. And I think that is what has become so attractive, if I can call it that, to people, that they are readily associating and willing to be associated with the WPA. It is that radicalism, that frontal approach to a lot of what I want to say sensitive issues in the society. For example, the way WPA deals with race and race relations, the way WPA deals with the misbehavior of the PPP, its apartheid-like conduct. People identify with that, they are attracted.
They're attractive. One of the things, brothers, that the WPA has been known for, and I think even its detractors, the PPP, and even some of its more fraternal friends, like in the PNC, it's already been said that the WPA is the intellectual party. Do you think, and I'm starting with you, Brother Kidackie, and then I go to Brother Ogunseye. Do you think that the society still looks at the party as the party that brings ideas to the table, in that sense, that brings a kind of intellectual analysis of the situation that is useful to political struggle?
Certainly. As a matter of fact, I've already said many times, I perhaps can say almost on a daily basis, that the WPA has, over the last few years, brought a clarity when it comes to analyzing the behavior of the PPP. It has brought clarity when it comes to discussing the newfound oil wealth and a lot of other political issues, national and political issues. The WPA continues to, especially through the CAMS TV platform, the Politics 101, educate, as they call it, the citizenry, and they are much, much more aware. And so, like I said, they look to WPA for the kind of leadership. And it's not only political leadership, but the very intellect, which you mentioned. And so, yes, they still believe and they still look to the WPA and at the WPA as the party of intellect.
But we're going to say the uniqueness what WPA brings at the level of leadership to the struggle. The WPA has always argued that no single party has all the answers to our problems in Guyana. And so, therefore, it is clear that the party has always favored a broad multi-party approach to solving the problems. But what does your party bring? What does your party bring that is unique to your party, to this broad multi-party politics?
I want to join you with Kidackie and to say that the WPA, from its its initial stages, have been perceived by all and sundry as a party of intellectuals, because we had a number of intellectuals in the ranks of the party. But we never had more intellectuals than the PPP or the PNC in terms of numbers. If you were to count by numbers, what we had were revolutionary intellectuals who were prepared to move out of the classrooms and to engage, on the street corners, and to use their academic writings to the service of the working people and the country at large. And that is what distinguished us from the rest. I mean, if you was go through the PNC, Ramford, and the whole numbers of them, and the PPR, the whole numbers of them, but the difference is we had those who are willing to fight and to put the integrity, both professional and otherwise, to the service of the country and the working people. And in that, the party developed a reputation to be a party of the intellectuals. Ironically, when the PNC, the PAP, in the early days argued that, they argued that in a kind of two double-edged sword. They're trying to diss us and disconnect us from the working people, saying, look, these are not, people who grew up and come out the bowels of the working people. These are these boys in this fancy university and far-fetched in the politics that is above the head of the people, and so forth and so forth. That is part of what they were trying to do. But at the same time, they were conceding that when any objective observer looked at Guyana from the time the WPA came on the scene, and you follow the transformative ideas, okay, that WPA brought, and we can't go through all of them, but let me take the critical ones. Our approach to race. We have, from the beginning, recognized the problem, while the other parties were playing games with it. We said, look, there is a problem, there is a division, but we also recognize that there was a willingness in the communities, among the racial groups, the African and Indians, to find a resolution to the problem. And in the search of that finding a resolution, give birth to WP and so forth and so forth. On the question of electoral democracy and fair and free elections, the WPA was never afraid to point our fingers that election and election malpractices lies not at the doorstep of one party, the doorstep of both parties. But because we were in the opposition, and because of the way in which the PNC behave and so forth, we highlighted PNC's, electoral malpractices more than we deal with the PPP's malpractices, which really, in retrospect, I think it might have been a mistake. We should have found a more balanced way of dealing with that. So we have to paint the PPP as being electorally clean, and the PNC as being the only electoral villain. And today we are paying the price for it, because the Indian community doesn't have a balance okay understanding of this problem. But I think I've spent too much time on that. But
No, but
the WPA,
that's a critical point, Brother Ogun, because parties don't admit mistakes. And here you are as a leading member of the party. Among us here, you are a founder member and more senior than the two of us. And here you're saying that in retrospect, the party might have made a mistake in not being more balanced in the way that it has discussed electoral malpractice. And I suppose we are making amends to that today by spending a lot of time pointing to the PPP electoral malpractice. And the PPP is very mad at us for that. So that point is a very critical point. So far as I know, in terms of leading party leaders, political leaders, Guyana has been the only leading politician who admitted that he may have made a mistake in the way he dealt with race in the 1960s. And here you are, on behalf of our party, saying we might have made a mistake in the way we approach putting the blame for electoral malpractice. So I think this is a very significant moment. But there is a question there from somebody.
Okay, I want to complete the answer the question you posed.
Yes,
just give me a few minutes.
Take your time.
You, apart from us being conceived of the part of the intellectuals, I think we benefit from the fact that people see us as not simply politicians. They see a degree of political honesty that is not driven simply by the lust for political power, but really trying to find solutions in the interest of the country and really to help to place the Guyanese society, in a situation where we could reconcile and we could move on. So I think that we're not seeing, in fact, even the PNC and the PPP, you say, over the years, there's not knowing. I'm telling from the early days is a constant thing. Alien politicians, something, because politicians has a self-serving view of politics, and they will do anything to get power. There's no morality to the actions, but they see the WP as being too moralistic, too clean. Them business people tell you we don't want to come and take the money. They give money to the PNC and they give money to the PPP, the WPA. It's a different bunch. You want to stay, clean and so forth. So I think that the population sense that there is something qualitatively different between the WP and the other political parties. The next point, I think, from our interception, and particularly during the civil rebellion and Walter's period and so, the party have developed as a set of people who are prepared to make sacrifices for the nation. And we have given the nation one of our most outstanding leaders. In the assassination of Walter Rodney, Oyini Kwame, we had Edward Dublin. Many of us, including yourself or myself, spent times in jail and all kinds of things. We could go through a long list. Tonight is not for that. But I think all of that benefits us today, that people see us that, look, these are people who have paid the price, who have proven their commitment, and they're still here fighting after 50 years. And they don't have the kind of power that the PPP and the PNC had. They weren't in office for any significant time, but they're still fighting. And I think people recognize that there is a different quality into WPA leadership and our close cadres, that we have a different quality. I think all of those things play to our advantage, and all of those things are in varying ways reflected in the way people respond to us now. Now that the country is in a profound crisis, people also recognize, I'm coming more to recent time, people recognize that if the WPA didn't reconcile with the PNC and Bill Aknu, AFC would not have joined, and we would not have defeated the PPP, shattering the myth that the PPP can be defeated. And I think that all of that plays to the benefit of the party at present. and the way in which the party conducted itself in the APMU, okay, is also something that influences how people see us. On that particular score, it is more, it's a little more problematic because there is a feelings that if the WPA have been more critical of the coalition may still be have been in power. I remember you have been writing critical things about the coalition. I have to less extent in writing, but on Walter Rodney Groundings, myself, and Trotty and Dion, we did raise issues. But the party officially took the position that we can't rock the boat. You know, the coalition just come to power, and that while we are concerned about what is happening and we're worried, we have to, you know, be careful. Now, I am not certain, and I think it is no, I don't want to, it is open business in the WPA that up to this day, the WPA is divided as to whether we could have done more along the critical lines, okay, in the coalition, and whether in doing that we might have saved the coalition. We're not as one with that, but we discuss those things objectively, and I don't want to spend time on, you know, how our coalition partners respond, but as a party in the coalition, we've took our responsibility to the country and to our supporters seriously and to our party history. And I want to say for the record, at no time in the coalition there were any discussion about rigging elections. And the WPA have never took part or have any information of any attempt by the APMU AFC to rig any elections. There was never any such discussion, and we were never party to any such thing. And I want to say, I said it before. We have had a lot of difference with Granger. We continue to have a lot of difference with Granger. But Granger had made it clear, and I said it to the other WPA comrades as the thing was unfolding, when I, you know, because I had to deal with him at the APMU leadership, and I know pressure was being brought on him as to how he will deal with the elections and its results. And Granger was clear that once GCOM declare a winner, he will live with the results, and he have lived with the results. And I think it's to his credit. There's a lot of criticism I make of Granger, and I believe he is responsible for us being where we are. But in politics, we have to try to be objective, and we have to try not to be negative for the sake of negativity. So I will say, to end the answer to the question, is that people's present attitude to the WPA is tied up in all those things that I tell you. It is not something that just developed out of nothing or thin air.
Brother Ogunseye and Brother Amsterdam, the elections are due anytime over the next 2 years. Of course, it's the discretion of the president and the ruling party. But Ogunseye, you talked about removing the PPP from power, hence the birth of the APNU. And I think uppermost in the minds of the supporters of the opposition parties is exactly that, the removal of the PPP from power. The PPP has made it clear that it's not interested in sharing power with the opposition. So the opposition is on its own. And I know that as a party, we have been talking about what our attitude to opposition politics is going to be. Are we going to get back into the APNU, as a lot of people have been asking us to do, including leading members of the PNC? What kind of intervention are we going to make in the coming months and the coming period. One of the baseless criticisms that has been made of the party is that it doesn't hold party congresses. But the truth be told, last year, September, the WPA held a members' conference. And our members' conference is the equivalent to a party congress. And we are also planning on holding another members' conference in the coming weeks to really put to that conference a program of action for the coming period. And coming out of that members' conference, we hope to unveil some new decisions as it relates to the party. Now, one of the things that we are clear about and that we have made public is that we don't have resources in the WPA. We don't have resources in the WPA. We don't have a party vehicle, for example. And going forward, we would need resources. A number of people in the public on this program, on the Guyanese Morning Time, have been urging us to launch a WPA campaign fund. We took our time discussing it because we felt that you first of all have to have a campaign before you go to people and ask them to fund it. And so it is one of the reasons we took the time to work out what our line of march will be. And we, as I said, we are going to a members meeting to agree on that line of march, and then we will make it public. But we are under pressure for resources. And we are also under pressure from people who are saying they're willing to contribute. So tonight, we are officially launching our party campaign fund. To lead us off, I'd ask you, Kidackie, to introduce this aspect of our discussion.
Well, as it has been said ever so often, people like what we're doing. They're encouraging us. A lot of our callers, viewers have been saying, listen, elections are just around the corner. You can't wait until the 11th hour to start fundraising, because we know you need resources. We know you don't have resources. One caller, I'm going to use the word critical, last week was critical to the point of identifying who uses which vehicle to do party work. And so it's obvious that the party can only do so much with whatever little resources it has or has access to. And so improving the financial and other resources of the party is necessary. It's absolutely necessary if the party is going to be able to do more, especially when it comes closer to the election. I, for one, have kept saying, I'm saying all the time that it's likely we're going to be getting a snap election, election ahead of the expected date. And so the fundraising, like many viewers have said, should have started yesterday.
But please start it now, Brother Kidackie.
And so I'm saying,
please officially launch the campaign fund.
And so I'm saying that as of now, the lines are open for you to make your contributions. The WPA is willing to accept your contributions and welcomes your contributions, financially and otherwise. It is not everyone who can give financially, but there are people who have other resources which they can give, including their time. And even the political party with the most money needs human resources. And so we are encouraging you not only to contribute by your financial gifts, but also to commit time to spreading the word of the party, encouraging others to join and work with the party, highlighting what the party has been doing, and sharing your thoughts with the party, where you believe we can improve. What are some of the policies that you believe perhaps you can examine and stuff like that, your intellect. So if you have something that you would like to share, you have my WhatsApp number, that's 6225933. You have Dr. Hines, I don't know if you have him on WhatsApp, but I am going to take the liberty of giving you the number 603-0010.
Not that number. We have a number
Sorry.
of deals. Yeah.
Sorry. Good. So Dr. Ice will give you his WhatsApp number or the number you can contact him on. Definitely, you can call the party's office on 227-4608. 227-4608. And for those of you who would want to walk into the party's office, it's located at 59 New Garden and Anaya Street, Queenstown, Georgetown. Right, that is 55 New Garden and Anaya Street, Queenstown, Georgetown. That's where you find the Rodney House. That's the office of the Working People's Alliance. And the number there is 227-4608. Like I said, you can also contact me on 622-5933, and I'll be able to point you in the right direction for your worthwhile contributions. Of course,
so here is the way we want to do this. We are looking in the first instance for 200 contributors. Because when you're launching a fund, when you have a fund, you need a continuous flow of donations. So in the first instance, we are looking for 200 donors per month. You can donate $5 per month, $10 per month, 15, 20, 25, 50, whatever you can afford. But what we want is a stable group of donors. Now, so that's one category. The stable group of donors who are committing, who are pledging to give a continuous donation over the next period, and you can make your donation per month. If you donate $10 per month, that's $120. You can choose to make that in a lump sum, or you do it $10 per month. So we're looking in the first instance for 200 regular donors, and that can expand as we get to the 200 mark. Then we're looking for another category of donor.
I'm taking a call. I suspect it's
Please.
Good evening.
The next category of donor is for people who want to make one-time donations. That you just feel that you want to make a donation now or a donation next week, you give your one-time donation. So that's a second category of donor. The donor who gives a one-time donation and gives a donation when they have the time. Then we have a third category, and those are people who are willing to help us to raise funds for the party. They can organize fundraisers where they are on behalf of the party. And if you're in North America and you want to do a fundraiser for us in Atlanta, you can organize it. You invite us. I am in North America. I can come and attend that fundraiser. We can try to get members out of Guyana. Brother Kidackie, a lot of people have been requesting for him to come to North America. We can arrange for that. So that's a third category of donor. Somebody or people who are willing to organize fundraisers for us, whether it's in Canada, England, America, the Caribbean. We are open to that. You get in touch with us, we organize it. So there we have it. We have three kinds of donors. The donor who is going to donate, whether it's 5, 10, whatever you can afford, so much money per month, and we are guaranteed that per month. We are looking for 200 such donors to begin with. Then the second category is people who just want to give a donation now, and whenever they get the opportunity to do that, they give a donation. And then the third donor is people who are prepared to organize for us fundraisers. Now, it's very important. Our party doesn't have a party vehicle. We need a party vehicle immediately. We already have a vehicle fund, and as we get donations, we will move towards getting a vehicle as quickly as possible. And we know all the other things that we need funds for. So in launching this fund tonight, we do so recognizing that people have to share their resources around, because our people now have begun to contribute to all kinds of causes, to contribute to our programs, contribute to the various political parties, and so on. So we are not being over ambitious. We are saying, please donate what you can donate. Whether it's $1, $5, we are going to be thankful for small mercies. We are not a quote-unquote big party, and so we recognize our role in the pecking order, but we need resources. And as I said, we are going to have a party members meeting in a couple of weeks, and coming out of that meeting, we are going to unveil our plans for the immediate future. We recognize that our that our party is, as we said, not a big party, and so therefore we are not expecting that you would treat us as a big party to begin with. But if you want to, we are going to be very glad for that. So we officially launched the WPA campaign fund here tonight. You can use our PayPal source there. The information is on the screen. You can use Cash App. You can use Zelle. And those of you who are in Guyana, please contact the party office and you can drop your donation off there. You can contact Brother Kidackie and he will guide you how to get your donation. For those of you overseas, like I said, the Cash App, the PayPal, the Zelle, those are the popular routes towards making your donations. Please indicate if you're doing Cash App, you're doing PayPal, you're doing Zelle, please indicate WPA campaign donation, WPA campaign donation, WPA campaign donation. So we thank you all in advance as we launch this fund, and we're going to make sure that this process is as transparent as possible, in that once you make a donation, you will get an official acknowledgement from the party. So here we
have a donor on the line.
Say that for me.
We have a donor on the line.
Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you for holding, caller.
Times, good night.
Good night.
Times, good night. Brother Kidackie, good night.
Good night.
Mr. Ogunseye, good night. I am ready to pledge $3,000, between $3,000 and $5,000 over the next 6 months, starting us from tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So somebody has started the ball rolling. My brother, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that donation.
I want to give one advice only. I want to say I'm happy that we launched the fundraiser, but I want you guys to make sure every show we must talk about it. We must be aggressively talking about it. On every show, we must aggressively talk about it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for that contribution commitment of $3,000 to $5,000 in the next 6 months. There's another call. Caller live.
Kidackie, good night.
Good night to you.
Yes, Kidackie, good night. For the consistent contributors, if I make a pledge, this pledge goes still up to the general election. Just clarity so that I would pledge an amount that is manageable.
It's up to you, sister. We're not putting timelines. It's up to you to what you could afford.
Yeah. But to answer your question more directly, in the first instance, it goes up to the election. In the first instance.
Yes, and could it be sent to Kidackie MMG? That will be convenient for some of us.
Well, once you indicate, if you send it, you indicate to me that you've sent it and for the purpose, and so I'll have it transferred to the party. Yes.
All right. So I will be donating $5,000 Guyana every month. But I know where the party office is in Queenstown. I can drop it by there. That might be better.
Yes, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
I'll go up to the elections.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you very much. And we want to see how eternally grateful we are because, and Brother Ogunseye, I'm going to bring you in here because I can tell you every executive meeting we have had for the last umpteen years, we have raised the question of resources. But we have never really gotten to the point where we felt we had the confidence of the wider population that we could come to you in an open way and ask for donations. But Ogunseye?
You're quite right. I think we did try over time to see whether we could have attract some donations, public donations, from our platform in Channel 9, Walter Rodney Groundings. But it never bear much fruit. And we were never as very consistent with it because it's almost like a part of characteristic of WPA. I've in the past people have made this observation that we don't go after money the way we need to go after the money for the party as other parties do. And I think it is true. I don't think we had ever developed in the history of the party that kind of political culture. And some people may say it's good, some people may say it's bad, but I think it is true that the party have never developed a machinery and a political culture that is aggressive enough for us to attract money from the society. And there's something I want to make it clear. It was always clear to the WPA that we don't want to be a party of business. And we have consciously stood far from, becoming a party dependent upon business. And we always wanted to be a party, big business. Yeah. Big business. And we always want to be a party financed by the working people and ordinary people and, small entrepreneurs and so. But we try our best to, and there's those big business who have been consistently every now and then making approaches over the years. And we have been daunting them. But unfortunately, something in the Guyanese political culture that is not what it used to be in the 60s. People hardly come into the party office and make donations. I know in the early days of politics, people used to come off the road and to offer their donations to the party. Somewhere along the line, that culture have changed. So I want to join with you and Kidackie to invite our viewers and our supporters and our well-wishers who quite correctly have been putting tremendous pressure on us to do more, to move from just rhetoric and to move to supporting the party in the area of resources. As Kidackie pointed out, not only money, there's other resources that are important for political struggle. Even political information. Critical information could be more important than a few dollars. So we want to invite viewers to see themselves as part of this big rebranding the party, restructuring the party, positioning the party for a significant intervention between now and the next elections, and to see yourself as an active participant along with the party to achieve this objective. And it is in that spirit we want you to embrace and to support the fund.
Brother Kidackie?
Thank you. There is a commitment from John C. Paul of $5,000 a month, which will be backdated to January. And so thank you, Mr. C. Paul. $5,000 per month right up to the next general elections, backdated to January. I usually say anybody can be anybody on I'm addressing you by the name I see, John C. Paul. Only you will know that.
John C. Paul is a real person. I know him very well. I've worked with him in Coffee 250 and other organization. Very committed, brother. It's real. It's a real person. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, sisters and brothers, in a sense, this is a new beginning for the WPA. We can say that it's a new beginning for the party. We have been taking note over the last couple of years of people's commitment to our ideas, to our position on issues, and in a sense, you, the masses out there, are responsible for this new rebirth of the party, a rebranding of the party, and situating the party in the mainstream of our politics again. And without you, we would not have reached this point. And your early commitment to this fund really is testimony to how people, ordinary people, can help a political party to find its feet again. Because as Black Stalin said, no matter you're down or out, just keep looking on the brighter side. All the left-wing parties of the 1960s and 70s, all of them are now defunct. The WPA is the only radical party in the English-speaking Caribbean that came into being in the late 60s and early 70s. We are the only one standing. And it's testimony to the nature of Guyanese politics and the continued recognition of you, the ordinary people. All thanks and praise to you. Brother Ogunseye.
No, Dr. Hans, before you go, let me mention that there are two other contributions, commitment. One is for a fundraiser in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, the DMV area.
Yes.
One of our regulars is committing to do a fundraiser there. And so I will get with her and we'll talk about the requirements. What does she expect from us? And also, Curtis is committing $25 monthly to the campaign fund.
I'm very glad about DC, Maryland, and because, as you know, that's one of my hometowns. I'm a DC, Maryland person, so very glad and excited.
So you can walk to the fundraiser.
If I can
walk to the fundraiser.
I wish I could. Brother Ogunseye, a good night for our party.
Again. Yes, it's a very good night. I never doubt that once we could find an effective way of connecting with people, that people will support the party. I've never had a doubt about it. I think we have to, as a party, have to be grateful to yourself and Kidackie. And I think Brother Kidackie in the main, because I think he initiated this online internet discussion platform, and then I think you follow suit. And I think that objectively, in terms of helping the rebirth of the party, those two interventions has been the most significant for us, because it gives us consistency. See, we were suffering from the fact that, okay, Channel 9 have always been helpful to us and have given us we have to pay for our time, but they have been, nice to us. Many times we owe them, we can't pay them, and they wait for the money and so. But that is once a week, 4 times a month. And it wasn't adequate for what the party needed in its rebuilding, in the context that the press and the official media and the conventional medias have consolidated themselves into hostile approach to the WPA to wipe us out, of the public consciousness, and we have had to be struggling through that hostile territory, owned in the main by PPP and PPP supporters. And it is hard for party to engage in a consistent political discourse when you don't control a mass media, that you could be deliberate and you could decide when, where, and how long you want to persist in an argument. When we try to intervene both as a party and as individuals in the letter column, the editors will allow a whole set of people to attack you and give you 1 or 2 shots at them. In a very unfair way, he brings the debate to an end. And whatever you say is subject to his editorial discretion. And in that way, the party could hardly defend itself or promote its ideas effectively in the public space. But I think CAMS TV and Politics 101 has liberated us, from that dilemma, and have put us in a space that we could engage in more effective fight. And since a big way, the WPA arsenal in a big way is influenced by the struggle of ideas, we now have 2 mediums to which we have been using to advance the struggle of ideas. Now, when you take I'm going to stop so that you can move on your program. But if you take the Thomas recent programs, now oil and what is happening in Guyana, that level is a very complex and complicated business. It has a very technical sides. And we could not have had that intervention to the newspaper. And we couldn't afford to pay Channel 9 or any other TV to have that consistent intervention. But with Politics 101 and CAMS TV, we have more control, and we can have the kinds of intervention that we feel is necessary, and that we could decide how long we want a particular line of argument to go. And that is important in politics, because it is a struggle for the minds of the masses. It is a struggle to capture the consciousness of the masses. It is a struggle to influence and change people's behavior. And all of that requires time and consistency.
Thank you very much, Brother Okun. And I think in traditional WPA culture, our programs do not only feature the WPA. In fact, the WPA might be a minority in terms of their guests. We bring guests on from the PNC, from the AFC. We bring independents on, even 1 or 2 pro-PPP people have been on, like Ralph from Karan, and so on and so forth. So, and that has been part of the WPA's tradition, that we feel that the party is important, but ultimately our country. And that is why we have opened our media to members of other opposition parties and people from civil society who may not belong to political parties, but are supportive of the line of march of the opposition. And we will continue to do that. We will continue to open our space to all those who share our vision of where Guyana is going. Kidackie, your closing thoughts.
Well, I must express my gratitude to those persons who have joined and supported, first and foremost, CAMS TV, Politics 101, the forward march of the WPA. I must thank you all for your encouragement, your consistent encouragement for the those of us in the WPA to move in certain directions. Thank you very much for the continued push for us to launch this campaign fund. It has been launched, and so I'm extremely grateful on behalf of the party for the commitments that have been made so far. I know that there are other commitments that will come, and I certainly welcome that. I know we will be able to do much, much more than we are doing right now with the necessary commitment of resources. Like I said, not only financial, but intellectual and physical and everything. I see someone asking about the young people. And so let me say it clearly tonight, WPA welcomes the youth. As a matter of fact, I usually argue that if there's any young person who is looking to make quote unquote his or her political name in short time, they should join the WPA, because the WPA is not big and cumbersome like the PPP and the PNC, and so it's likely that there is a lot of space for young people. And so I want to repeat those words and encourage those of you who are viewing, you have young family members who have an interest in changing the direction of the country. Encourage them to join the WPA, just like we encourage you to join us.
And let me add to that, Brother Kidackie, because I think that point you're making is so important. Let me add to that. Young people, contact us. And once you contact us, we will let you decide how you want to intervene in the WPA. WPA has never had a youth arm. We have never, because it was always a party of young people. I mean, Ogun and we joined the party literally in our teens. If you go back to the Askra days, Ogun was Germany, was 16. I would have joined around that same age, Kidackie. Probably you joined much younger than us. So, young people, if you want to come into the WPA, contact us. And then we will, once we get 3, 4, 5 of you, we will let you decide how you want to work in the party. If you decide you want a youth arm, fine. We will let you form a youth arm, although we, as a party, we never had a youth arm. If you feel you want to be young people or young friends of the WPA, it's up to you. But we are going to put particular emphasis on the party, on the young people, because as we seek to rebuild, we cannot rebuild a party without young people. So we welcome young people to join the party and to decide how you want to engage in the party. So excellent question from the audience, and Brother Kidackie, yes, we want young people. I want to thank you all, brothers, for coming on. And
just before you close, David, I want also to appeal that we need the women. Women have been the major force in all the parties in Guyana. And WPA welcome you.
Yes, part of the report, we need women, we need young people. We also need Indian Guyanese too. And I'm really out there. So all categories. But we are realistic. Women, I know a lot of women have been contacting us over a period of time, offering advice, being the supporters and the bedrock of these programs. Now, again, we have a critical group of women. They can decide how they want to function within the party. In that sense, we are a party that is fluid enough to recognize that times have changed. And the way people engage in politics 40 years ago, 50 years ago, is not the same as today. And so women, young people want to come into the party and you want to work in a particular way, we are open to that. We are open to that. Thank you all very much, brothers, and I'll see you all next week for another edition of WPA Groundings. We didn't get to cover some of the issues we meant to cover tonight, but we'll do so next week program. So next week, Thursday, Thank you all so much. Tomorrow night, 1823, I think I'm having Simpson De Silva, Darren Wade, Pastor London, Simpson De Silva, Darren Wade, 1823. Apologies. We notice UG has lumped in indentureship and slavery together, and already Vishnu Bisram in the paper this morning arguing that indentureship was almost like slavery. We're going to discuss that issue tomorrow night. All right? I can tell you, we are not against immigration, indentureship, but indentureship must be discussed and must be given its place in our history. But if it's going to encourage that nonsense that indentureship was like slavery, we will have to intervene. So tomorrow night, Darren Wade, Simpson De Silva, who's the next one? Pastor London. WPA should have discussed it tonight. They didn't get to discuss it, so we'll bring back Brother Ogunseye tomorrow night to join that panel to give the WPA's perspective on that panel. Big panel tomorrow night. Next week, we're going to have Nigel Hughes. He's not been on in a while. He's going to be on next week. Henry Jeffrey comes back next week. GHK Lal comes back next week. And of course, next week, Thursday, we are going to have our WPA Groundings. So until then, I want to thank you all for making tonight possible. And it's been a historic night for the WPA.
When we speak of civil liberties and civil rights, people are beginning to understand that the most fundamental of these is the right to work in our society. And what is occurring in Guyana is that the government is making political capital out of the indefensible position of one who is either unemployed or is very close to the line of being unemployed.
I want to say to you all, in no uncertain terms, that this government is disrespectful to black people. And if people disrespect you, you have a right to disrespect them.
I am saying now that we have started, now that we have come together, do not sleep. Don't let us go back quietly into the night. Protest must be the order of the day.